turn on. But thank you so much and welcome to our webinar as part of National Apprenticeship Week. We're delighted to have you here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan. I'm Early Careers Manager here at Galliford Try, and I'm really delighted to be joined by some of our current apprentices who are going to share their stories with you. I will introduce them very, very briefly, but I'll allow them to do that themselves in due course. But I'm joined today by Jack, Sonia and Carlos, who, like I say, are three of our current apprentices, and hopefully you can see them at the bottom of the screen there. So what we're going to do over the next wee while is just talk about Galliford Try, who we are as a business, a little bit about our current opportunities. Of course, we have got live opportunities available just now, but I think more importantly, we're going to hear from our apprentices. I'm really excited to kind of hear their stories, their experiences, how they've got on in our project and our programme so far. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to go through a little bit about our business. So if you haven't heard of us, and that's okay, we're a pretty well kept secret, we are actually one of the UK's leading construction groups, and we're called Galliford Try. If you are in Scotland, we're known as Morrison Construction up in Scotland, but we are all one business. And what we do is we deliver infrastructure and buildings across the UK. So we're based literally across the whole of the UK, where we have coverage projects from up in Inverness, all the way up north to all the way down in Plymouth, and lots of places in between, of course. So we're a large UK contractor. What's really important about us and what I'd like to share, just to give an overview, is we're a really people-orientated business. So we really care about our people. We care about developing our people, and we have a culture where we put our people first, which is really important to us. I think particularly for early careers, so that's apprentices, we take on graduates as well, and we think it's really important to have excellent mentors in place and a really supportive environment to make sure that people can kind of thrive and reach their potential. At any stage in their career, actually, we have kind of mentors across the business for anyone within our teams, but actually particularly at that early stage, if you are maybe just leaving school or college, even university, and you're just starting in the working world, we want to make sure that we've got an environment that's really supportive, so that you are able to, like I say, thrive and reach your potential as part of our team. And another thing that I'd like to mention is just about our values. We're a really values-driven organisation. Everything that we do is driven by our values, and we've got them on the slide there. But it's just to show that that's the kind of culture that we have here at Galliford Try, and something we're really, really proud of. So just slightly before I go on to meet our apprentices who are very patiently waiting, I just wanted to really highlight, so I've said we're a UK construction company, we're a main contractor. That might not mean a whole lot to you, and that's okay. So I just want to take the opportunity to share some of the career options or the routes that we have within our business. So they're all on the slide there, but just to pick out a few, there are some that you might think of when you think of construction, you know, those kind of more typical construction roles, where we have quantity surveying, site engineering, loads of types of engineering actually, civil, mechanical, electrical, process. I've probably missed some there, but yeah, lots of types of engineering across the business. But of course, we've got those roles that you might not typically think of when you think of construction as well. Some of them on the slide there, marketing and communications, finance, human resources, of course, working in our people team, loads of different opportunities, which are a huge part, an important part of our business, and then those really core construction ones as well. So yeah, just to hopefully give you a bit of a showcase of the different types of careers available within our business. And now what I'm going to do is finally hand over to the apprentices and have a bit of a chat with them about who they are, what they do in our business, and hopefully just get a bit of an insight into what it's like being an apprentice as part of our business. So, Jack, I'm going to come to you first. And I'd just like to ask you, please, what role do you do in our business? And can you briefly explain what that means, just in case people don't know?
Yeah, so I'm a quantity surveyor. So essentially, we're in charge of the financial side of the project. So we're responsible for the money, the ingoings and the outgoings, and ensuring that the project keeps within the budget, and we make as much profit as possible on the project.
Excellent, thank you very much. So similar question actually, Sonia, I'll come to you next. Again, what's your job role? And then can you just tell me what you're studying and where you're studying as well?
So my job role is a trainee quantity surveyor. So at the minute I'm still doing my degree apprenticeship, and I'm also studying at Northumbria University. So I get 1 day a week as my study day. And the role is similar to what I think Jack just said. Yeah, we're kind of responsible for the financial aspect of the project. So just monitoring costs, making sure that anything that might be extra work we're getting paid for, rather than just doing it for free, etc. So and also making sure that we remain within the budget.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Two apprentice QSEs with us this morning. Lovely. Thanks for that. And then last but not least, Carlos. Hello. Good morning. What's your job role and where do you study as well?
I'm a trainee engineering surveyor, and pretty much my job is to maintain the control network on site. So all the, let's say, roads and bridges and all the other structures are built where they are supposed to be by the design. So yeah, it involves a lot of surveying, a lot of leveling and stuff like that. So it's and then for studying, I'm doing the Surveyor Association surveyor course, which is 2 years divided in 6 blocks, where we go through all the art of surveying, all the little bits, like what the equipments are there, how do you use them correctly, and so yeah, it's pretty great course. So it's really valuable, and yeah, what else could I add?
Are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. The tutors are amazing, and it's a great learning experience there.
Great. That's always really good to know, isn't it? When you're studying something, to enjoy it's really important when you're putting in all that time and effort. Brilliant. Thank you. Nice to say hello to you. And we're going to continue to ask kind of different questions to get a good understanding of what you've been involved with and how you're finding life as an apprentice at Galliford Try so far. So the next question I'd like to ask, Jack, I'll just come back to yourself to have a nice little order to it. What's your top fact about Galliford Try for people who might not know our business? Understandably, a top fact would you give about Galliford Try?
So yes, Megan, as you already mentioned, well, we've got sites and locations all over the UK. We've actually got about 4,300 employees across the UK, employed in all different roles, site managers, project managers, QSs like myself, and so on and so forth.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, we're on massive growth actually. Even if you just look at the last couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years now, we've grown massively as a business. And yeah, you're right, we're right up there over the 4,000 mark, almost 4,500 people in our business. So we are a big growing business. Lovely, thanks, Jack. Sonia, same question to you.
My top 5 fact was that Galliford Try is made up of a lot of different companies rather than just one. So, for example, I work for AVRS, which is a company within Galliford Try, but it's a subcontractor. So my role will probably be different to what Jack does on a daily basis, even though we've both got the same job title.
Thank you. That's a really good fact. I think, again, it highlights the different disciplines that we've got in our business. So because we have got those different areas that do different things across the country, it does kind of open up different opportunities even within the one organisation. So yeah, that's a good top fact. And Carlos, the same question.
Yeah, my fact is that Galliford Try has done some construction work all the way as far as Falkland Islands. That was a part of Morrison's group that was done from around 2006 till 2020. So that, I think that's pretty cool. It's like how far the reach can go.
Yeah, that's right. We used to have an international business. I'll trust you that it was 2020 that we stopped that. I was aware of that project, but it was a while ago now. Scary. Time flies. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much. So the next question I'd like to understand, we've touched on this a little bit, about the projects that we have across the business, or the different types of projects, I should say. Jack, what kind of projects have you been involved with so far?
So I only joined in September last year, so I've been straight out to site. I was in the office for a short while, and then I'm currently on St Stephen's Community Hub in Coatbridge. So it's a new build primary school with sports facilities, different learning facilities. So it's currently in the kind of main construction phase just now, and this phase is due to be finished about autumn time this year. So people beginning to move into the school about autumn time this year, and then there's further phases after that. So demolition of the old primary school, but the main works. So this building will be live and active for people to move into about autumn time this year.
That's really cool. That's such a rewarding part of the job, I think, is when people actually start to use the buildings or the facilities that we've built. And a school is such a great example of that. We built, actually, slight tangent, but we built my kids' primary school. So both my girls now go to a primary school that we built, and I think that's really cool. And obviously they take great joy in saying that their mummy built this school. I'm not sure that's actually true, but I was involved in one way, shape or form. Lovely, thanks. Sonia, what about projects you've been involved with?
So I've got a lot of different, I don't just work on one project at a time. So at the minute, I've got 3 or 4 jobs down at Anglian Water in the south. So that, the sort of water filtering jobs. And then my main work I do is over at Sellafield nuclear site. So I've got 5 or 6 jobs over there that I look after. Yeah, quite 2 opposite sides. It's a good variety.
Lovely. Yeah, and like you say, even though you and Jack are doing the same job role in terms of quantity surveying, actually, just from what you've said there, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is actually, by the sounds of it, very different kind of projects that you're working on. So that's really interesting. Thank you. Carlos, what about yourself?
I joined Galliford on October 2024, and currently I'm working on Melton Mowbray Distributor Road, which is 7 kilometers of sort of a first phase of a ring road around Melton Mowbray. So it's 7 kilometers. There are 6 roundabouts, 4 bridges involved. There's a river diversion and all kinds of stuff going on there. And also we've done sort of a control network adjustments on the name of the other projects I've been on is Southeast Aylesbury Link Road, where we adjusted the control network for the upcoming bridge going over the railway. And we did roughly the same thing also on the Grantham South Relief Road. So it's pretty interesting when you go to some other sites, because they're completely different than some of the things you can see there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it sounds like you've been obviously with us a wee bit longer than Sonia and Jack, and it sounds like you have been involved.
I think I started at the same time.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah, been here just over a year now.
Okay, brilliant. So you've had exposure to different road projects, a couple of different road projects. That's brilliant. Really good to hear about. Great. Okay. So thinking about your kind of journey so far as an apprentice, so from joining the business, Jack, that's quite recent. Those you've had a wee bit longer. What would you say you faced, or what challenges, I should say, have you faced, and how have you overcome them? Just thinking about someone who's potentially taking the first step into that world, and any challenges you think they could come across, and how would they overcome them? Jack, what about yourself first?
Well, I'm aware people come from different kind of circumstances, but for myself, I came straight from school, so I would say that changing environment from school, you're treated as an adult and you're kind of given more responsibility. You definitely are given help, and you can seek help, but you're not really kind of get your hand held, like in school where you're kind of told what to do and you just kind of follow instruction. It's a lot more on your own back, your own responsibility. And to overcome it, I would kind of say just get yourself stuck right in, and get involved and ask as many questions as you can. There's good people around about you can get advice from. So that was my way of kind of overcoming problems.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, it is a big shift, isn't it? I think for anyone coming straight from school or college or that kind of educational, full-time education background to step into the working world, it is going to be a different environment. Thanks for sharing that. Sonia?
Yeah, so I'm the same. I came straight from sixth form. So a lot of other people went to college, so they kind of got that exposure to adulthood from, whereas sixth form, I think, treats you still like you're in school, kind of. They do guide you a bit more. So when I started working, it was obviously quite scary having all these responsibilities. And also, I think one of the big challenges was balancing my studies at uni. So that first few months of having uni work as well as work was quite hard and tough. But I think what helped me overcome it, and it helped that I tried to kind of sort it out quite quickly. So I just spoke to my line manager, told him that I was just feeling a bit overwhelmed with all of this stuff, and we just came up with a process. We sat down, figured out, that one day that you have for studying is blocked off for that specifically to do studies. Obviously, I know it is expected that sometimes you do have to work on that day, like after your uni work, but I think now it's quite rare for me anyways, because I think we kind of solved it quite early on by creating that process of the division between my studies and my work, like day-to-day work, and it was just sort of a mutual understanding with everyone in the office that Fridays, for example, that is my study day.
Yeah, I think that's really key, actually, having that kind of discipline and that agreed setup, so okay, that's my allocated time to study, and allowing yourself to do that. And then obviously, like you say, your team and your manager supporting you with that is good as well. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, Carlos, yourself.
I would say for me it was the overwhelming amount of new information regarding the construction, because I started with very little prior knowledge. So the first few weeks were a bit overwhelming, and keeping track and remembering everything was difficult. But after I got the basics down and connected the dots, then it almost went like in a snowball effect, when it just piles up, and then you sort of getting all the new bits, understanding and remembering all the new bits becomes much easier. So it's just push through, and you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, that's it. It's a lot of information all at once, isn't it? Joining a new organisation, a new industry, learning at the same time with your qualification. I can understand that. It sounds like it's all coming together. So that's good. Excellent. Okay, I'm now going to talk a little bit about our application process and the roles that we have at the moment as well, and then hear some top tips from you guys on the application process. So I said this right at the start of the webinar, we have apprentice roles live right now. They're available on our website. That's a very easy place to find them, and actually I will post a link in the chat function to direct you to those roles, but you can find them very easily on our website. I should say as well, the chat function is there. If you do have any questions, do feel free to pop them in there, and we can get to those at the end. You can pop them in at any time. So yeah, it's National Apprenticeship Week this week, so this is a great time for us to post live roles, and we have. The application process is deliberately quite straightforward, and we don't want to make that kind of too difficult or too time consuming. It's an online application. So I will say in the most part, it is quite straightforward intentionally. We'll capture a few details from you. There is a CV upload there as well. Obviously, with our apprentice roles, we don't expect any experience. This is a very early stage of your career type role opportunity, or even if you're a career changer, we wouldn't expect you to have any experience in that chosen field that you're wanting to pursue. So don't worry about that in terms of your application. What I would say is we ask one motivation question. So one question where we're looking to understand basically, why would you like this job? Why would you like to work with Galliford Try? That's essentially what we're trying to work out from that. And what I would say is please do take your time to write that. It's not an essay by any stretch. It's more of a kind of statement, a bit of a short paragraph about why you would like to work with us and what you think resonates with you about Galliford Try. So that would kind of be my tip for your application is don't worry if your experience isn't there. We don't expect it to be, but if you do take the time to write that statement and write it well and write it really authentically, that will make your application stand out. So that's the online application process. If you're successful to the next stage, it's a local interview. So the local team that you would be working with will conduct an interview with you. And then if you're successful there, it's straight to offer. So it is quite a short, deliberately short process, and quite a personal one as well. So you are meeting that team that you would be working with. So that's our process. And then I just want to talk about what we're looking for. I kind of touched on this a tiny wee bit. We're hiring for potential. So we're not expecting people to have any experience. We would want you to understand, or to the best of your ability at that stage, understand what you're applying for. So do a little bit of research, do a little bit of research into the role that you're applying for, what a potential qualification in that space could look like in terms of, what you would be studying, where that leads to. So it's just doing that research so that you've got that understanding, you're making a really informed choice. What do we look for? I've got some really good words on the slide there, that passion, flexibility, great interpersonal skills. These are all really important, but probably just want to highlight throughout our process, we just want to get to know you a bit better. So I mentioned at the start, we're a values-driven organisation. We want to kind of ask questions around our values and get a really good feel from you in terms of how your values align with our values. It's that kind of thing that we're looking for from our process. And yeah, that I say that hiring for potential, we're looking for those individuals who have a kind of passion to learn and be part of this industry. That's what we're looking for. Great, but I won't go on about what we're looking for. I'd really love to hear again from our apprentices. I'm going to ask each of you for a top tip. So a top tip for if someone was thinking about applying, what would be your top tip to them? I'll mix up the order. Sonia, I'll start with you, please.
My top tip would be, and this isn't just specific to the Galliford Try, like the application process. This can be for any way that you apply to. Look up and look into interview techniques. So for me, I looked into the STAR technique, which was what a lot of interviewers do actually look for when you go and do your interview. So there's obviously different ways. I know some people can feel like they are prepared enough and they don't need to, but I think it's definitely worth it to just look into that a little bit and just kind of learn from it, prepare a little bit, write some notes down if you want to, using those techniques. And yeah, I think they're very, very useful.
Thank you. I think that's brilliant advice, actually. I think any interview using that STAR technique, which is thinking about a specific example and structuring it in a way to really explain and give detail and depth to that answer, is such a great top tip. Excellent. Jack, what would your top tip be?
I would say, I know you've kind of touched on it already, Megan, but I would say just kind of be yourself. And it sounds cheesy, but that's, as you've already highlighted, that's kind of what the company are looking for. I would say don't try to kind of put on an act that you think we're looking for. It's more about being yourself, so that when you're actually doing the job, we kind of know, the company kind of know what to expect, and you're actually showing what you're going to be like. So that would be mine. Just kind of be yourself and don't try to kind of put on an act.
I think that is a really good tip, and it's true. We want to get to know, your authentic self, and you didn't actually say this, but that brings AI into it as well. So, artificial intelligence is such a great tool to research, to use to prep. It is definitely really useful and invaluable, actually. But in the actual interview, it's so important just to be yourself. Don't use AI generated responses. It's quite obvious to us, apart from anything else. So it doesn't appear that kind of authentic human response. But it's also just not what we're looking for. We actually just want to get to know you a bit better. So yeah, no, brilliant. Thanks for kind of tying that in. Carlos, what about yourself?
I'm pretty much gonna agree to the part where you just want to present yourself, not just from the professional way, but as from a human way, sort of, from a personal bit. Because, for example, in my interview, I think half of the interview we were just chatting about unrelated stuff to the surveying itself. So that, I think that just shows that I think might be the better part would be just obviously you have to research what you're applying for and such, but there's the be yourself part is also important.
Yeah.
So that's definitely true.
Definitely so true. I think both parts of it are obviously really important. So researching what you're applying for not only will help you in the interview, because you'll have an understanding of what you're applying for, what we're going to kind of talk about, but also for you to make an informed decision. We talk about the decision that you make to join, as an apprentice and learn and do that qualification and get that experience on the job at the same time. It's a big decision. You want to make sure you're entering into something that you at least have as much of an understanding as you can. There's nothing like really doing it to get that understanding, but that research will really help you get that understanding before you start. So brilliant, thank you. Good top tips there. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about, I suppose, some of the key benefits and a little bit about our trainee offering. So what we offer for apprentices and trainees joining our business. And then again, hear from the apprentices themselves on their real live experiences. But just from a kind of overarching perspective, the slide there shows some of our key benefits. So just some of the highlights there in terms of what you would get if you joined us as an apprentice. I'll just highlight a few rather than read them all, but 28 days holiday, and that's without bank holidays. So you get bank holidays in addition to that, so 28 plus your bank holidays. You can accrue more with service, or you do accrue more with service as well. Continuous professional development. So we will, of course, as part of your apprenticeship, you would complete your qualification. We would support you through that with the time off the job to do that, and obviously cover any associated fees as well. We're really committed to making sure that we develop and grow our people at any stage of their career, of course, but at that early careers apprentice level, it's a really critical part of making sure that we're developing people and giving them the support that they need. Some quite standard ones on the right hand side there, pension scheme, life assurance. I just want to highlight the last one there, volunteering days. So everyone across the business gets 2 paid volunteering days a year. So whether you already volunteer in some capacity and you want to continue that, we'll give you 2 days a year paid to do that. Or you want to, if you're passionate about something, but it's difficult to find the time, completely understand that life gets really busy. We really encourage all our people to use those 2 volunteering days a year as well. It's just another little benefit. So a little bit about our development programme then. So if you join us as an apprentice, we've talked about how you'll have that exposure to our live projects and have that on-the-job learning from experts in our business. That's a really important part of your development. Then, of course, there's the academic qualification. So we've talked about that as well. That normally is an apprenticeship. Not always, but it's often 1 day a week. We've talked about that setup. 1 week off the job to study, to attend your university or college lectures, and then 4 days kind of working in the teams. But in addition to that, all our apprentices join us on our what we call a trainee development programme. So this is a 5-module development programme, which is designed to enable you to reach your potential. So it's focusing on those skills that aren't necessarily, your academic or the qualification stuff or the technical skills. It's those interpersonal skills, leadership, management, communication, collaboration, all these really important kind of softer skills, which really support you in your day-to-day work and actually in your just kind of day-to-day person, just kind of those interpersonal skills, which are so key to being an all-round kind of person in the working world. So got an overview of those on the slide there, but basically just wanted to highlight that this development programme is designed for you as a person. So it's not as we've got quantity surveyors here, we've got engineering surveyors, it's not about those technical things, it's a side to that. So I think it's a really nice part of our offering, which focuses on you as a person. So I'm now going to ask the apprentices how they've found the programme so far. Obviously we know Jack's not done too much, so I'll come to him separately. So Carlos, I'll start with you for this one, please. You've done, I think we've established just over a year, a wee bit over a year into the programme. What have you enjoyed most? What have you learned so far?
My favourite bit was the second module, which was the outdoor event, where the take point training tutors gave us some really useful things about how to build a team from practically nothing, how to effectively brief tasks, how to assign roles. So that was a really great event. And on top of that, there was bushcraft things and stuff like that. So it's all happening at the glamping compound. So I really enjoyed all the outdoor bits, and that was my favorite bit from all of it. So it's definitely something to look forward to.
Lovely, thank you. Now, Jack, you've not done any modules with us yet because you've obviously not long in the business, but can you share a little bit about your kind of induction and the welcome event at the start of when you joined us?
Yeah, so in terms of my induction, so I kind of came in September there, and I was in the office for a short while, and then I was moved straight out to site, which, to be honest, I think was beneficial for me. Actually getting to see the work that I'm doing kind of on my laptop or whatever in the office, actually getting to see it getting put into the ground. So I think that was really good. And then in terms of the early careers event, so me and a few others travelled down to Leicester, and I think it was a really good opportunity to meet other trainees, which I hadn't really got a chance to do yet because obviously I was moved on to site, and everyone here is kind of qualified. So I think it was a good opportunity to meet people that were kind of in the same environment as me, and then it also gave us an opportunity to kind of look at what the next few years are going to look like as well.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Yeah, that welcome event it's a really key part of the induction, isn't it? Because it brings together, like you say, all the kind of trainees and apprentices and graduates as well. It's our early careers event, and it's great to get that overview of what the programme is going to entail. So like you say, the next couple of years, and then meet all those other people who are on a similar journey to yourself as well. So brilliant. Sonia, I'll let you kind of pick and choose either or both your favourite part of the programme so far, because you're similar to Carlos, you've done a few modules, and if there was anything about the welcome event or your induction that you wanted to share as well.
So my favourite part of the programme so far, I think, would be it's not one specific thing. I'd say it just as a general that they really kind of encourage you to leave your comfort zone. So for example, the glamping event, they purposely don't tell you much about it. So you kind of don't know what to expect, which is forcing you out of your comfort zone, but it also helps you develop your confidence once you're there, your leadership skills, and just develop a lot of very, very useful skills, not just for your job role, but also for life in general. I know I'm definitely a lot more confident now than I was when I first started a year ago. So I think especially because a lot of apprentices are school leavers, I think it's really useful. And then what was the second question?
It was the welcome event. Sorry, I threw it to you once. Yeah, the welcome, or your just induction in general. If anything that you remember, I know it was over a year ago now, but anything you remember?
So I initially, my welcome event when I first started was quite useful to me as well, because that was the first time. So for me, because I work for a company within Galliford Try and they'd only just acquired it at the time, it was just me, especially in my office. So that was just me, and I didn't have any exposure to any other apprentices. So I didn't really know, again, I didn't know what to expect because I had nobody to speak to about whether what I was experiencing was normal or whether we had different experiences. So the welcome event kind of helped me network with the people that I'd be going through the programme with. And now I'm still in touch with a lot of them. We speak about the programme, about which stage we're all at. It just kind of helps you keep tabs on, kind of reassures you that everybody is going through the same thing. Sometimes you feel like you're not, this can't be normal, and then everybody's like, no, yeah, I'm experiencing that too. So it's just quite reassuring. It's good for networking, helping you make friends, especially if you don't, it gives you that opportunity, whereas for me, I wouldn't have had that in my office. So yeah, and then this year I actually had the opportunity to speak at their welcome event for this year's, about my experience so far during this, during my 2-year training module. So I just got to talk about, do a short Q&A, which I remember at the time we did have graduates and trainees do that for us too, which was again really useful because you know what to expect in the future, and you know where this role can take you. A lot of them had kind of pictures and were talking about the projects that they were now working on after they'd done the sort of training programme, which for me is quite inspiring. I know it helps to keep you going. Kind of. So if sometimes you think, I'm quite, everybody gets exhausted once in a while, but it does help you remember that at the end of the day, you're doing it. You've got a goal. You're doing it to work towards something, and it just opens up a whole new door to loads of opportunities. So yeah.
Lovely, thank you. I think that's a really important point, actually. Seeing someone who's, well, in your case, kind of 1 year ahead of you in terms of they were in your position a year ago, and seeing what they've achieved or where they're heading now, it's quite, I suppose, quite inspiring, actually. And you think, right, okay, you know what, that could be me in a year. So yeah, no, that's a really good point, actually. And that networking piece as well that you said, of course, these other apprentices, even though they're not in your direct team, obviously for yourself because you're AVRS, but there are people across the business going through a similar journey as yourself, and having that network is so kind of beneficial and important. So brilliant, yeah, thank you. Okay, so I highlighted the key benefits already on the previous slide, or the ones that I kind of highlighted. As someone, or as people who are going through this right now, what would you say are the key benefits as an apprentice at Galliford Try, or that Galliford Try offers in general? Jack, I'll come to yourself first.
Kind of just emphasising on what I've talked about already. I would say the main ones, that there's a great team of people around about you, whether that's in the office, like Megan, with your kind of trainee development side, or on site as well. There's great people around you. So as a trainee, that's one of the best benefits, I think, is being able to pick up information from those people who are already knowledgeable. And then in terms of applying, I would say one of the benefits is how many roles and opportunities there is. As I've already touched on, there's countless amount roles in different areas, and doesn't even need to be on site. There's areas, there's the environment, there's building, there's infrastructure. So there's endless opportunities.
That's great. Thank you very much. Sonia, same question to you.
I think the benefits, so one of the benefits of applying, I think, are also, again, I think it links to what we said earlier about being honest and being your true self. In that, when you're applying, I think for me, what was quite useful is, as part of the program, you do secondments. So you have kind of 2 weeks in each different division, kind of, or doing different job roles. So for me, I am a trainee quantity surveyor, but I've also had the opportunity to experience going into finance, into planning, or being on site. So a lot of different things there, and it really gives you the opportunity to figure out what's actually right for you. A lot of the time, people apply for a job that they think they want, but they end up actually enjoying something else a lot more, and something else feels right. So with Galliford Try, one of the big things and one of the big benefits is that they allow you to kind of figure out what's the perfect fit for you, and they do give you that opportunity to experience the different sectors and different job roles, just so you know that definitely, and at the end of the day, you might think, yeah, definitely the role that you've applied for, the role that you're in, is perfect for you, but it just kind of concretes that. Yeah, I think that's one of the big benefits, is just being able to experience and actually figure out that this is definitely what you want.
I think that's a good point. And the different kind of rotations that you talked about there, it gives you that broader understanding of, your job sits here, which is not small at all, but is one piece of a bigger puzzle. And those you mentioned, finance and planning, and actually they're different parts of the construction phase, if you like, which you're still getting a bit of an understanding of as well. So it just helps your overall knowledge, I suppose. So yeah, no, really good point. Carlos, yourself.
Yeah, the segments are great, and for me personally, is the company car. This is that does the job. So that's the benefit for me.
It's a good benefit. Yeah, once you're a little bit into the program, a lot of our role dependent do offer that company vehicle, which is a great benefit as well. Yes, I do agree. Excellent. Okay, I think I had one final question before we jump over, if we've had any questions in the chat, and it was just to kind of round off what you're looking forward to. So you're at a couple of different stages in your program, but what are you looking forward to in the next, say, year or 18 months? I'll start with yourself, Carlos, this time.
I'm looking forward to graduating the surveyor school, because I think it should be, the graduation should be on November, so I can't wait to see the end results, and then sort of be like a weight off my shoulders, and then I'll be able to look forward on what's next.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that must feel and scarily not that far away, I suppose. Actually, it's only February, but just a few months more. That is exciting. Brilliant. Okay, Jack, what about yourself?
I would say just kind of what we've touched on with the different events with the trainee development program. So I know Carlos said about the camping event that was really good. So I would say I'm really excited for that one in particular, but obviously the rest of the events as well I'm excited for.
Yeah, I think for yourself, the fact that you've not started, just almost, but you've not quite started your modules yet, that's a pretty exciting thing. And people always mention the glamping module, as they call it. I have done it personally. It's good. So hope you enjoy that when it comes around. Lovely. Sonia.
I think I'm most looking forward to kind of having a bit more responsibility after completing the training program. Just getting to have more opportunity to kind of step up and look after different jobs myself. Whereas at the minute I am working alongside and being supervised by like my colleagues and things. But I'm definitely looking forward to being able to kind of challenge myself and take more responsibility on different jobs. And also I think my cohort is the last one to have a sailing module as well as the glamping one. So I have that in June, I believe, this year. So I'm also looking forward to that.
Yeah, brilliant. And are you due to graduate then in September? Is that your...
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Lovely. Great. Okay, no, sounds great. It's great to hear similar but different things that you're all looking forward to in the next kind of year or so. So that's brilliant. Thank you. So that was the last of the kind of panel questions that I had. I think we are now on questions and answers. I have noticed there's a few. Most of them I'm happy to take myself, but I'm just going to pose this one to a panel of apprentices in case you've not seen it. We've had a question. What does a typical week look like for an apprentice? And what is the usual balance between office space work and time spent on site? So I'm going to give you time to think about that, and I'll come to you in just a moment. And I'll answer the other ones that have popped in, which are maybe more for me to take on, if that's all right. So how do we think about that one? Now, we've been asked a couple of questions. One is, how long is a degree apprenticeship with you? And then similar, I'll tie into the same answers. After a degree apprenticeship, is the degree you hold equivalent to university level 1, say you're doing engineering? So a couple of questions which are kind of linked. One thing that I think is important to note is, first of all, yes, when you do a degree apprenticeship, yes, it is the equivalent to university one that is done on a full-time basis. It's exactly the same qualification. You've just done it on a part-time basis, whilst also gaining that kind of really beneficial on-site, hands-on experience at the same time. So that answers that question. How long is a degree apprenticeship? It does vary. So what we do, and I see we've been asked a question about how old you have to be to start the qualification. So what we do as Galliford Try, we wouldn't actually put either a minimum age or a minimum qualification requirement on our roles. What we do is we kind of match the appropriate academic qualification to that individual's current academic achievements. So, for example, if you needed a kind of lower level qualification to get you ready for that degree level apprenticeship, as an example, we would put you through that kind of lower level qualification, and then once you're ready, and obviously that you want to pursue that, we would then put you on that higher level, for example, degree level apprenticeship. So what that means is that you would need the minimum requirements to get onto an academic course, but we tailor that for what you need at that time. And if there was any minimum requirements for the apprenticeship from the university or college, we would have to follow that guidance from the university or college. But certainly from our side of things, I think we actually do a really good job at tailoring to make sure the individual is at the level they need to be, and then they progress from there. So therefore it does vary a little bit. I will ask the group to see if there's a wee bit of a theme. How long are your qualifications?
Mine's around 2 years, which is 6 blocks. After each block I have to do a practical assignment, and then after that I'm gonna get level 3 pro-qual certificate on engineering surveyor, which is around the half towards CICS, which is Institute of Engineering Surveyors membership. So I would be chartered engineering surveyor. So if that answers the question.
Brilliant.
But that pretty much depends on what kind of sort of what's the end qualification, because I heard some of the engineering courses might be longer than that, around 3 or something.
I think they are, yes. And that's probably a good point that I'd like to make. It will vary. There's not one answer to that question. A degree apprenticeship doesn't last, or doesn't always last the same amount of time. So that's your specific setup, and thank you for sharing that. Jack, what about yourself? What's yours? Do you know your duration?
I think mine's is a 4-year course. So mine's is quantity surveying. It's a 4-year course at university. And then similar to Carlos, there's the opportunity to become chartered at the end of that.
Cool. Thank you. Sonia, what about you?
Mine is a 5-year total. That's the end of my apprenticeship. So the university degree itself will take 4 years for me to graduate and get my degree. But then after that, you've got sort of a period. It's called the gateway for apprenticeships. And so you hit the gateway, and then you need to do your kind of endpoint assessment to actually pass the apprenticeship as a whole, and get that qualification of completing the apprenticeship. So yeah, I think so for me, the actual degree is a 4-year degree, and the apprenticeship is a 5-year long thing.
Lovely, thank you. No, that helps, and it's good to understand that there's variation there. You know, we've got 3 different people here, 3 slightly different, albeit similar. So yeah, but what I would say is when you're enrolling on that qualification, you'll know what you're signing up to, if you know what I mean. So you'll know the duration and what's expected in terms of the outcomes as well. So I think that covers off that question. We've got a couple more. So someone asking, they have a master's already in project management but would like to go on apprenticeship in quantity surveying. For the apprenticeship, you need to not have studied a course which is either the same or closely linked to be able to qualify for the apprenticeship. So that answers that question. You can't do an apprenticeship in a subject matter or discipline that you've already got an existing qualification in. Plumbing apprenticeships, that's a good question. So someone's asked if we've got any plumbing apprenticeships. So we do some trade roles. So I said at the start, I didn't make it perfectly clear. As a tier 1 contractor, most of our roles are within that kind of management of a construction project. So, you know, your quantity surveyors, your engineers, your planners, your estimators, those trade roles, those kind of plumbing, which has been mentioned there, electrician, bricklayer, you know, all these kind of trade roles, they do exist within our business, but the numbers are lower. To be honest, that's not our main type of role. So to answer the question on plumbing specifically, it'd be sometimes and not as often as the other roles that we've mentioned today, but not never. And we do have more kind of joiner or electrician type roles, but again, it's not our main focus as the type of business that we are as a main contractor. I think that might be all the questions, and we're almost at the hour anyway, so I just want to take the opportunity, first of all, to say thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for joining us this morning. Thank you for your questions and engaging with us on the chat. That's been brilliant. Obviously, thank you very much to our panel of apprentices. They just bring this sort of session to life, because I could talk, I don't know, all day long. I could talk all day long about what we offer and what we do, but actually that wouldn't be very interesting, probably. I just love hearing from the people who are kind of living and breathing it. So thank you so much, Jack, Sonia, Carlos. You've been brilliant. All that's left to do now, I think, for me, is to just post in... I'm just going to post in a link to our careers page. Now, don't get me wrong, if you go on to Galliford Try careers, you can very quickly navigate your way to our careers, search Apprentice in there, and you will find the roles that we've got live right now. But I have just posted the link, into the chat. If that hasn't worked, I'll repost.
Sorry, Megan. There's one more question about how many applications can someone make
Oh, thank you. I didn't see that one, so I can't see it. How many applications you can apply for? If you're interested in 5 of our roles, apply for 5. It's actually not a maximum of 5. You can apply for as many as you like. You're absolutely open to do that. I would say, and we kind of touched on this earlier, do have a think about what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with kind of putting the feelers out into different roles. That's absolutely your prerogative, and that's fine. But I will possibly just say, have a think about what you'd want to do, rather than just blindly applying for loads of different opportunities for the sake of applying. But in terms of the actual rules on that, of course you can. Of course you can apply to as many that you kind of fancy.
Can I just touch on that? The thing about, have they got any plumbing apprenticeships as well? I know definitely for AVRS, because we're a subcontractor. I know you said that you probably have electrician apprenticeships, but they're obviously less frequent, and there's a smaller volume of them. We definitely, as AVRS, as a subcontractor, we do actually look for electrician apprentices, people who want to become apprentice electricians. We have a lot of we have a demand for it. I think we want people to kind of come and to be able to sort of put them through an electrician apprenticeship. I know a lot of, like my manager, for example, we were speaking about that the other day, that it's definitely a big opportunity for a lot of people. For me, we're in the northeast, so that's my office. We've also got an office down in Cumbria, it's near the Sellafield site, and there's another one in Stratford upon Avon. But I think we've got sites all over, so we do need a lot of different apprentices, and our main jobs require a lot of electricians, which we're in a shortage of electrician apprentices at the minute, so we definitely have a lot of space for apprentice electricians.
Thank you so much. That's great. And see, that just shows you again the breadth and scope of our business. And the different roles that we have across that piece. So lovely. Thank you for adding that, and thank you again to everyone. That's us bang on 12. So I'll close the session now. Thanks for joining us today. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.